Hello and welcome back to the Point and Laugh podcast with your hosts,
Skyler
and Kaylynne. Wahoo!
My rings.
Oh my god, you're ringless. Yes, for once! It's my success! I prevail!
I hate to see a woman winning.
Drink of the day. Going back to the old reliable.
Old reliable.
On shelves now at Target. No, I'm kidding. LaCroix. I'm doing a little LaCroix. A LaCroix.
Pamplemousse.
Pamplemousse. Sorry to any French people.
I mean, do that more.
Pamplemousse.
You're already too sexy. Let's cough up some phlegm.
Yeah, no, that would be so. Oh, and you know what? It is so refreshing and so sparkling, and it may cause me to burp. Tune in and find out.
I just got tea. My throat hurts.
You have like a cool Austrian tea though.
I do.
It's T-E-E.
Tea. It's, I was showing her. It's packaged in Austria, so it's a packet in Österreich.
That was good.
No, it wasn't.
Really good.
It was really fucking bad.
No
one show my Austrian relatives where I stole this tea from. That's where I got it.
Then I could do, most likely. And you know what? I'm not going to attempt because I know I will humiliate myself.
My favorite game to play with my cousins, actually, because quick lore. My aunt married an Austrian man, and he looks it. Like, if you could, like, Austrian man, Google images, that man pops up. They popped out 3 Aryan children. Blonde hair, blue-eyed little freaks. I love them. That was mean. But I told them, because I'm like, just because they're completely bilingual, that, like, to the average American ear, like, German just sounds angry. And they're like, what do you mean? The oldest is like 10. Like, they don't. Yeah. The youngest is like 6. They're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, say butterfly. Like, now my favorite game to them is to be like, I want you to say the most innocent German words, the most angry that you can. And to see these little high-pitched, like, kids be like, and I'm like, what was that? They're like, bubbles. And then it's a crowd pleaser every time, and then little kids get high off attention, and then they're like beat red in the face, and they're just screaming little German words with their phlegm. They sound like little Hitlers, and they're just and they say like butterfly, sparkle.
Not little Hitler.
Am I wrong? Are you gonna sit there and tell me that I'm wrong? Her sister was a witch. Speaking of movies, though. We saw a very polarizing film.
Extremely. Perhaps the
most polarizing film that may ever come.
I
speaking
think
of
so.
Coming.
I think so. It's funny. Oh my gosh. I have something that I can't necessarily say on the air, but I will tell you after. I just had an experience. Well, I guess I'll speak on it vaguely. I had an experience recently. What? It's hot?
It's hot. Oh. Sorry, I tried to sip too hot tea and agony.
I had an experience this week of a older person asking a bunch of people my age, like, why is your generation so sensitive? And we were like, what? But I will say, with Dix the Musical, I'm a little like, if I'm recommending it to someone, I genuinely have to ask, like, how sensitive they are, because it is not for everyone. It is definitely not for everyone. It is for, in fact, I would say a small minority is going to really appreciate.
You know, Taylor was like, what do you mean this isn't in wide release? And like, they could not survive wide release. This is for niche people.
Yeah,
just because it's
LA,
raunchy. Nothing necessarily is like,
well.
No, on the one hand, like, the funny joke would be, like, this is exactly, like, the type of thing that, like, conservatives think that gay people are, which is gross. It's a very gross movie. Yeah. But also, I'm like, so what? We should just be squeaky clean all the time. They're gonna think of us as degenerate anyway. Like, they think... Heartstopper is the books are getting banned from school libraries for, like, being sexually whatever. So I'm like, there's no amount of gay that they will be able to tolerate. No. If we start sanitizing ourselves, then at what cost, at whose expense, and for no end. So, like, whatever. Let these 2 gay freaks have their little musical where they sing about cock and balls and cum and ass, and there's a flapping vagina in the wind. And Nathan Lane deserves Oscars. And that's all I have to say about that.
Literally, I like didn't really know that much about it going into it. Like I just seen the trailer and I like heard some people kind of like talking about it online.
My dick is fucking massive.
But I knew Nathan Lane was in it, and that sold me. That was all I needed to know, frankly.
And then Megan Thee Stallion was in it too.
Yes, yeah. Amazing.
She was fine.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, she's not an actor, and that's not her fault. Like, that's fine.
She just brought the energy where she brought it, and we should only be thankful. Frankly. No, but I am... So, weirdly enough, Dix was one of the movies that I was really looking forward to, and now having watched it, I was like, yeah, I'm glad I watched a good 3/4 of it. It was the funniest movie of the year. The last fourth, I could have taken a nap, but whatever, that's just me. Self-proclaimed prudes, remember? After I just went on this whole spiel about how sex scenes are good, actually, and then I'm in the theater watching like a really raunchy one, and I'm like, I'm trying not to feel pain.
To be fair, this one is a little different. It's it is definitely...
It's meant to horrify.
Yeah.
It's meant to shock. It's meant
Absolutely.
to make your tummy hurt.
Yeah, it's a lot of like shock humor is I think absurd shock humor is the best way to, I guess, to go about it. But it was absurd and hilarious and funny, and I loved it. But anyway.
But there's another movie coming up that I probably mentioned this to Hannah, like, the 5th time now, that I'm so looking forward to Priscilla. I so am. Because, like, listen, Elvis, fine. I've been to Graceland. My mom's an Elvis, fan. And I do think that it was a little funny in the Austin Butler... Well, several things are funny about the Austin Butler movie. One of them being that he got so deep into the voice that he
couldn't escape.
Couldn't deprogram himself from not doing it. And the fact that to frame Elvis as good for, like, a modern-day audience, you had to somehow imply that he was, like, at the forefront of the civil rights movement instead of one of the biggest examples of cultural appropriation that we have in music ever. This one line... It's when he's singing on the radio and everyone's like, turn that, like, black music off. And someone's like, actually, it's a white boy. And then you zoom in on Tom Hanks playing his manager being like, a white boy. Doom, 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 doom. A white boy. Because he's like, I can make money. Mm-hmm. So Elvis is fine. I like some Elvis songs, voices, whatever. But I think the Austin Butler movie, definitely the Baz Luhrmann one that came out last year, had a mission statement to make Elvis, like, into the best possible light that he could possibly be portrayed in. Mm-hmm. You know, he's like, and to be fair, a lot of this is talking out of my left cheek because I haven't seen it yet, but I've just seen the response to it that has been incredibly positive. And like, he introduced, like, Elvis to, like, a new generation of people, and people being like, oh my gosh, like, he had, like, a tragic tale, and he was, like, taken advantage of.
Elvis, the one that came out last year?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I've seen clips, and I've, like, heard reviews talking about it, but I don't want to be like, that's why that's a bad movie. Mm-hmm. Have you seen it? No. Like,
I will say I do think towards the end, if I recall correctly, they do, like, show, like, he's not in, like, a super, like, positive light the entire time.
But most of what I didn't love about Elvis was his relationship with Priscilla, and just knowing that he met Priscilla when she was, like, 14, and just, like, was very, very controlling over, like, he had some mommy issues, and I think, like, I think they do touch on that in the recent movie with Baz Luhrmann, is that he does have a little bit of he's like, Mama, help me.
Yeah.
He's like, your mama always is gonna be here to help you, Elvie boy. Those mommy issues don't go away. And this Sofia Coppola movie about Priscilla coming out, like, some people who went to advanced screenings, it's already getting, like, mixed reviews on Letterboxd, and I'm like, oh no, what's up? I've been looking forward to this movie. And a lot of them are like, this makes Elvis look like a groomer. And I'm like, 2 tickets, please.
Yeah.
Like, this does not paint Elvis in a very, like, good light. And on purpose, they casted Jacob Elordi, who doesn't necessarily look a ton like Elvis, but he's, like, 9 feet tall. And the girl they got to play Priscilla is, like, 3'1". And so they look like a grown-ass man and a little girl. And you're like, well, Yeah. Yeah. And I am just kind of excited for the conversation to tilt a little bit. Because, listen, I want people to be middling opinion about Elvis. And I feel like for a little bit, it's been very pro-Elvis. Because of a very flashy, very stylized, movie where Austin Butler put his whole, like, pussy into portraying this man. Then I'm like, we need a movie on the opposite end of the spectrum to be like, and he was a weirdo. Yeah, the Elvis estate was like, we do not support this in any way. And I'm like, it's a good movie. Look, let's go.
Did you ever watch Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette?
Oh my God, a while ago. I've been meaning to do a little rewatch. But I want to do something similar to that. With Marie Antoinette, I want us to be normal about it, because now I feel like the conversation around Marie Antoinette has shifted to like she was like a pure innocent soul, and I'm like, she was a little complicit. Like, she was in her 30s when she was killed. She wasn't like a fresh she wasn't like Henry VIII's seventh wife. She wasn't like a little girl just thrown into the. She was at first, but I'm like, she
had time.
She had time, and she did some weird shit. And so, like, I'm glad that the conversation went from, like, fuck Marie Antoinette, she deserved to die, to the, actually, let them eat cake as a myth, and she was actually I'm like, yes, there we go. And it's like, and that's why she's, the innocent of the story. And I'm like, reel it back. God, can't we just be normal? But that idea of, like, adding, like, the girlish, youthful innocence to this misunderstood character and kind of painting, like, who was the real victim here, I'm so excited for that energy.
Yeah.
To be in Priscilla. And from the trailers, it looks gorgeous. It looks like a modern little painting.
Yeah. I know, I'm like, I haven't seen Marie Antoinette in a while, but I remember, for whatever reason, we had it, like, on DVD when I was a child, and I watched it when, I don't know, like, whenever it came out. And, but I just remember watching it and being like, so beautiful. This is so beautiful. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited for, like, the aesthetics of Priscilla as well. I think Sofia Coppola has like a good eye for that.
Yeah, the most iconic shot of the entire Marie Antoinette movie is when like she's trying on shoes and you can see like a pair of Converse in the back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. Because at first it was ripped apart because everyone's like, they didn't have Converse. This is such a big continuity error. Blah, 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 blah. And Sophia was like, I did that on purpose.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't.
Because
it wasn't like historically accurate. Like the visuals were not historically accurate, and I feel like that was made very clear. Yeah. Anywho. So speaking of I guess media.
Oh yeah, good segue. Speaking of things.
Speaking of things, here's another thing that relates. If we don't know, and I feel like we all know, I am a avid reality TV show viewer. I just enjoy it. What can I say? And I am particularly critical of like the Netflix original reality TV shows, specifically like the dating shows. One, I think they need to find new casting directors. Sorry. Yeah,
they're all very boring.
Everyone is so boring. Everyone is so boring, and I'm just a little like I want the drama.
Like we get it, they're hot, but like.
Yeah, well, and some of them are not even that hot. Like, they're very, like, normal people. And I'm like, that's not why I'm watching reality TV. I'm watching reality TV to experience people and personalities that, like, I don't experience, thank God, in my, like, day-to-day life. Like, that is why I love Vanderpump Rules. Because it's, like, all of the most horrible people who make the worst decisions possible in a room together. And I love that. And I love that about it. But yeah, the Netflix originals, I don't know, they're just like casting like normal people, and frankly I feel like they would get a lot of backlash if they were like purposefully casting like the strangest, like most wicked people, you know, like on the face of the planet. But I kind of miss that. I kind of miss that type of reality TV where like it's just like, no, these are the worst people you've ever met, and now we're gonna put them in a room together and you're gonna see what unfolds. Like, I love that
You know what though, I feel like we've in addition to the boringness of reality TV show, I feel like it's this a boring level of everyone's petty. Like, no one's
Yeah.
evil. Everyone is always, like, perfectly boring to look at, perfectly dulled up, and they're like, and we'll see who wins at the end of this. And all of them are like that, where all of them are, like, they're not an A-list villain, but they're, like, the villain's henchmen. They're, like, stooges. And they're just like, I just want to stir the pot a little bit. And I'm like, oh, God. Like, there has to be at least one, like, in the Total Drama Island cast, there has to be a Heather. You can't all just be Courtneys, okay? You have to have one that's like, actually, uglies and fatties.
Yeah, literally.
I'm the winner here. They can't all just be like, I was incredibly hurt by that, and now I'm seeking revenge because by kissing her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, ooh, cool. Who cares?
I don't care. But I do feel like recently there has been, I think, a large rise of, like, reality dating shows. Oh, hi. Sorry, little kitty just jumped up. Hello, kitty. There's been a large, like, influx of reality dating shows that have kind of come about in the last couple of years. And it kind of got me thinking, like, so, some of the concepts are, I mean, let's be honest, cruel and unusual. Like, they're just like maybe they should not. The ultimatum. I'm sorry. The ultimatum is not. They love to frame it in a way that's like, no, this is going to heal your relationship.
This is a social experiment.
Yeah, like, this is like what you need to do to figure out if this is really your person. And it's like, no, you are setting them up for failure. You're literally setting them up for, like, you're gonna date other people right in front of the person who, like, you're like thinking about marrying. Like, that's a recipe for disaster. But I definitely feel like nowadays. People are too sensitive nowadays. No, I'm kidding. But, like,
something about the podcast mics, man. They're making us go full jackass.
No, but, like, something about the reality shows today are, I think, put under this kind of, like, vanilla guise where it's like, no, like, this is a social experiment. Like, we're doing this for, like, them to find their true love and all. And I miss the good old days when it was very apparent that, like, people were just, like, the show was just being made solely for entertainment.
This is a torture chamber.
Yeah, and, like,
this
they
is
did
Saw.
not care. They did not care what, like, who the contestants were, what was happening.
You want to play a game? The two of you will fall in love, or else the other will have to watch the other fuck their parents in front of them.
Like, just such cruel and unusual, like, truly. So today is not really gonna be like an examination of these TV shows, but I am going to unearth some of the wildest, like, reality dating shows, particularly from the early 2000s, the golden age of reality television,
when everyone hated their contestants.
Yes.
So those
Bring me
hosts wanted those contestants dead.
They hated them. You
know what else I just realized about the difference between the early 2000s and now?
Yeah.
Is if you wanted to be a truly, like, evil, deceitful bitch in the early 2000s, you could. But,
yeah,
like,
because there was no social media.
and there was no, like today, if you want to be an evil bitch on TV, you are dead.
You're getting death threats daily. And even
You're
if you're
getting
just
doxxed.
a normal person, not even that evil, you're still getting death threats.
You are
from
getting,
people.
yeah, your life is over. Good luck getting a job after this.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s, you could say the most out-of-pocket shit with, like, your 8,000 layers of mascara on and your chunky glitter and your bra strap sticking out and just be like, I think that fat people shouldn't vote. And you're, like, a meme.
Yeah.
And you're, like, on a t-shirt and you're on, like, a Where Are They Now segment by E.T. Now, you say, like, I don't know, I think maybe this politician has good policy.
You're done. You're done.
Get the noose. It's over.
Get the guillotine. So I'm just gonna go through a couple of the shows. I have honestly not watched most of these. I did watch one episode of the first one I'm going to talk about, and also Curtis Connor made a video on this as well. So that's how you know it's particularly absurd, is when Curtis Connor makes a video about it. But the first one I'm going to speak of is called Chains of Love. Have you seen the video? You know what I'm talking about? So the premise of this show is there's one person. This person is called the Picker, and they agree to be chained, literally, like, lock and chained to 4 strangers of the opposite sex for 4 consecutive days in hopes of sparking a romance with one of them. And like throughout, so there's this guy called the locksmith, and he'll just like show up randomly. Like he literally like hides. Yeah, he just like hides in random places, and they'll be like in the middle of a date or something, and then he'll just pop up, and like people would literally be like, ah, like, oh my god.
He doesn't have any lines, right? He just sits there like,
he doesn't say anything. He's this like 7-foot tall, like very large
Goliath.
man. Yeah, like he is like the bouncer at like a New York City nightclub. Like that's, imagine that person
with like the Smash Mouth sunglasses.
Yes. Yeah, never says a single word. But whenever he comes up, that's time for the picker to like let go of one of the contestants.
He's like the Grim Reaper.
Literally.
He's just standing there menacingly.
So he shows up, and he is like a key to like unlock whoever gets kicked out or whatever. And this part of the show honestly does not make that much sense to me, and I don't understand why it's like included as part of the premise, but there is a cash prize. So
I guess, you know, it's incentive for them to not like get a lawyer.
Yeah.
What if they have to take a shower?
I think they shower with the chains on. They sleep with the chains on. They even do, when they do like the little like talking head interviews, they're still chained up. They just put everyone else in like noise canceling headphones. So they'll just be in the background, like, and sometimes they're like nodding their head with the headphones.
I'll say it. Nothing would like flatline my quest for love more than 3 suitors on the end having to listen to me blow out the bathroom. That would they'd be like, give me the locksmith. I want out.
They're not clear. Yeah, they're really not clear about it. I would hope that they unlock them to use the bathroom, and that like it's just an illusion that they're like actually chained together for like most of the time.
Just like it's an illusion that they can't actually hear the talking head interview that's happening 3 feet away from them. I'm the one that's like overperforming, bobbing the head. Those headphones are off. I am listening in.
There was this one part in the first, I watched the first episode of it, where one of the guys is doing like the talking head interview, and then another guy who like had the headphones in was just staring into the camera the whole time.
Me.
The entire time he was just staring into the camera. And then you can tell he kind of, I don't know if he was like zoned out or like what, but he kind of like came to and then like looked away. Like he did a little like awkward like look away. It was very funny. But anyway, so there's a $10,000 prize. And as each person is released, the picker like can choose to give them some of that prize money. And
that's like a pity. They're like, I have to let you go, but will $7,000 cover it?
Yeah, basically. And in the beginning of the show, like when they're like introducing like how the show works and stuff, there's literally a graphic on the screen that says money is a scorecard of a woman's value. Because in the second episode, the picker is a man, and it's like 4 women. And that's what it says on the screen. Money is a scorecard of a woman's value. So they choose how much money to give them. And if it's like they can give them, I think, probably like $2 if they wanted to. I don't know. I mean, it might be in increments of like 20s or whatever. Yeah. But, so that's also horrific. But then at the end, when the picker like chooses their final person, they do this weird thing.
Yeah, where, as opposed to...
Because why would they do something normal? Why would they when they can choose chaos? But the picker can basically be like, I want to keep the remaining of this money and let you go, or I do want to continue to pursue like a relationship with you, and they split the money. So this is how they do it. So the picker will be like, yeah, like I want to continue this, like let's split the money. The contestant who she's choosing isn't allowed to say anything. They're not allowed to say anything. They leave. I don't know why they do it like this. And then she has to, or like the picker has to go to the rooftop. And if that person is there, then they also agreed to like, yeah, let's continue to pursue this. And if they're not there, then they ran off with all of the money. I don't know why they do it that way. It seems like unnecessary. I mean, like, obviously for unnecessary drama. What? But I'm like, I feel like it kind of would have been just as impactful if, like, in the moment they're just like, no, I'm taking the money. I don't know. So I don't know what's going on with that. But also because everyone is chained up, the contestants like will argue or bicker like in front of everyone and like in front of the picker or like whoever is there. And before the contestants come on the show, they are shown basically like audition tapes of for example, I'm just going to talk about the first episode. So it was 1 woman and then 4 men. So the 4 men are shown audition tapes of 4 different women. And one of the women is going to be the person who they're chained up with. But they have to...
no.
They have to rate and give their thoughts on each woman. And then, after they all get chained up, the producer, whoever, will give the woman the booklet of all of their ratings and what they said about her. And she gets to read through them in front of everyone. And I don't understand if they like don't think that they're ever going to see these ratings, because some of them are mean. They'll be like, Stephanie's a 7 in looks, her ass is flat, but her face is decent. Or like, her personality's a 5, she seems like an uptight bitch. Like, they're like brutally honest in these, and she just reads it all like in front of them.
Like, I feel like at that point, like, why the chains? Like, this idea of like, I choose you, either go to the roof, like that, the meeting up at the roof thing and the rating system thing have nothing to do. Like, you don't have to put all of your like weird things in one basket, right? They're already like, chained up. Like, they just keep throwing shit. I'm like, no, please, like, you had the, what does it have to do with the chains? Because that would be kind of interesting too if, like, you know, like the person is like, yeah, these are all your women, and then you twist it on them being like, actually, you're one of the contestants. That's an interesting little, like, you know, episode. I can see that happening. But no, they're like, and now the chains, and here's the locksmith. I'm like, this is chaos.
Yeah, who knows what's happening?
You don't have to do, why all of them? That's like, you could have spaced out each of those ideas into their own separate show.
Truly. It's also quite hilarious because once there's only 2 contestants left, they go on one-on-one dates. Except they're still chained up with the other contestant. But sorry, this is so funny. They replace the chain with just a longer chain. So they'll be like on a romantic walk, or like in the episode I watched, they're getting like a romantic like massage and they're doing like a spa day, and the other guy is still chained up and he's just like sitting on the steps and like hearing their entire conversation. And his back's just to them and he just has to sit there. Like, they don't even give him, like, they can't even give him a magazine or anything. like he just sits there and has to like bear it all.
Get cucked.
Yeah.
That could have been the title of the show. Why Chains of Love? Get cucked.
But it's hilarious. To no one's surprise, this show had 1 season. It did a single
boo
season.
Hiss.
But so that's Chains of Love.
This is where we're starting.
Yeah, this is where we're starting. Next up, we have Mr. Personality, which is in 2003.
Okay, porn star.
It's
the fuck?
It's like a Bachelor style show where they have like
No.
They have like one main person who's then dating like, I think it's like 20, or it might only be like 10 men or whatever, and all of the men are in like masks. So it's kind of like, do you know the show what is it, like Ugly Beasts?
Yeah.
The, like, dating show. It's kind of like that, except that the suitor doesn't have to have a mask on.
Oh.
So all of the masks are color coded so that she can tell the difference between each of them. So there's like Orange Man and Purple. I mean, they like refer to them as their actual names.
And that's not what I'd be like, Purple, come here.
Like,
what's your name? Todd? Thanks.
No,
Purple.
Red. So the series followed Haley Arp, a 26-year-old stockbroker. Stonks. As she selected a suitor among a group of 20 men.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it was 20.
That's a lot, man.
So each week, she went through and like eliminated certain people. And, the whole idea is that like, you're falling in love with their personality. Like, you don't know what they look like. And apparently the casting, they specifically chose like very average looking men. Like, none of these men, when they take off the mask, are going to be like incredibly handsome. Like, they're all just like very average men.
You know what?
Genuinely,
that's the thing that pisses me off about Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Is the whole point of Love is Blind, right? That's what they keep saying, that like, this is a social experiment. This is an experiment to prove if love truly is blind. And then they exclusively cast people that aren't used, like they're attractive people. They don't need to hide behind a wall to get a suitor. It would be way more compelling if like half of them were supermodels and half of them were like uggos or like randos, because then it would show that like, can the supermodel be like, will that work? Like, instead there's just supermodels and supermodels. They're like, will they love me without seeing me? I'm like, has anyone ever not? So
I think there's a couple of uggos on Love is Blind. Like, I'll say it. There's a couple of uggos.
I'm saying there's not enough.
Yeah,
more uggos,
no, there's
please.
Definitely
there needs to be an even ratio, because then there's a real like chance that you take if you're like a egotistical, like misogynistic man or whatever, that you could be getting a supermodel and you could be getting someone mid, and it's up to you to be like, are you willing to take that risk? I mean, not that from how the men that I've seen on Love is Blind act towards the most beautiful woman in the world, I don't think we should be putting more mid women in the warpath of you just walk in, like the curtains lift and they walk towards each other and he just goes like he like throws a fit. No. Did that happen?
Wait, no.
Oh.
I'm covering... Who do you think was the host of this show?
Lindsay Lohan. What? I don't know. It wasn't Lindsay Lohan. Who is it?
Monica Lewinsky. And the funny thing is, I literally wrote in my notes, Mr. Personality walked so Love is Blind could run.
What? Monica. She's like, listen.
So it is interesting, because this is in 2003. This is a good, 5 years after, the whole scandal that happened.
Only 5.
Yeah, but
good for her for trying to reinvent herself, I guess.
She was asked by Fox to host the series in hopes that she would attract more viewers for some reason. And according to the series creator Bruce Nash, the combination of Monica Lewinsky with a concept like Mr. Personality will result in a big tune-in, which, I guess, sure. So the masks were designed by American costume designer Tina Hatian Jones. So they asked her to create a mask devoid of any personality that still allowed the ability for the men to be able to speak, and they kiss in the mask and stuff too. And in an interview, she literally said, she was like, yeah, the show sounded stupid, but she accepted the work due to her status as a freelance artist.
Oh, these masks are horrifying.
Yeah, no, they're literally, it looks like a robot. It looks like you took the skin off of a robot that was pretending to be a human, and that's what's underneath. They're
God, it looks like Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, they're pretty horrifying. But so in the initial meeting, when she meets the group of 20 men, they're all in silver masks. But then on the day-to-day, they have the color-coded masks. So she had to make 50 masks.
Oh.
In total. Yeah.
Oh.
So they had to wear their masks at all times, except for when they went with the woman to a special dark room where the man would remove his mask and the woman was allowed to feel his face.
This is getting some kinky shit.
Yeah. They were also forbidden from revealing their professions. They wanted to keep that out of it so that she couldn't judge them based on how successful they were. I
guess that's fair.
It is kind of interesting though, because this show really was the first show that introduced what are now standard vetting processes for reality TV. So just a year earlier, Big Brother's Justin Sebick became the first person to get kicked off a reality show for holding a knife to a fellow contestant's neck. So Mr. Personality contestants were put through extensive medical and psychological evaluations, background checks, and STD tests as part of the vetting process, which now is all very standard practice.
This is the fucking wild, wild west out there, huh?
No, it literally it was. Yeah, so that's Mr. Personality. It's just a hilarious, why is Monica Lewinsky there?
Hey man, you know what? You know fucking what? If Netflix was reality TV show hosted by Stormy Daniels, I'd give a watch.
You would?
Yeah. Daniels solidarity.
Oh, that's so fair. Yeah, so that was Mr. Personality. There was also only, I think, one season of that show as well. I'm pretty sure all of these are just one and done type of shows. They did not have a succession following. Next up is Mama's Boys.
I'm gonna kill myself.
This one is actually, I think, probably the most tame out of all of them. Like, I don't know, the concept isn't like that crazy, but basically what happens is you know, you have like a bunch of several or single ladies, you know, out at the house, and they stay in the same like mansion as, I think it's 4 eligible bachelor moms. So it's the moms of the men that they're dating. And they pitch it as like, it all comes down to the eternal question: who's really the most important woman in any man's life? So at the beginning of the series, 32 single women are contestants seeking romance with any, it's 3 single men, 3 men. There's a firefighter, Michael I don't know what his last name.
I love that last name.
Sards. I don't know, whatever.
Michael
Google
Shart.
it. Real estate broker Robert Kludge. What the fuck are these
Klug?
last names? Klug, maybe? Or college student. Why did they have college student?
Jojo.
Bojanowski.
Jojo
Bojanowski.
Who wants to marry my Jojo?
No, these names are insane. So the men's mothers are brought in to live in a house with the female contestants, while the sons are housed in a nearby condominium. So they kind of like go back and forth between like the mom and the sons. And I think the sons like kind of are like viewing everything that's happening.
Dream scenario: the women fuck the moms, MILFs, and then the 3 men explore each other's bodies in the comfort and privacy of the condominium.
So throughout the series, the female Moving on.
Just ignore that.
The female contestants participate in competitions and then are selected by the men for dates, with some of the contestants being eliminated at, like, you know, various points throughout. Like, again, a lot of these are very, like, bachelor style. I feel like this is the worst part. I don't know why they did it like this. But each woman receives a text message of just yes. Like, just the word yes if any of the men want to keep her in contention, or just no if none of them want to keep her. If the men are undecided, they send a text message for the woman to meet them at the house's swimming pool, where they like have an additional opportunity to talk and decide like whether she should stay or go. So they're literally, it's just like yes, no. How humiliating. How dehumanizing.
No. All right.
It's like, okay, bye. So ultimately, like, it is the men who are making the decisions of like who is going to go, but like, of course, the mothers are actively influencing like their sons and their decisions. But it's just so interesting how the women literally have to like cohabitate this space with their mothers. So weird. But that's definitely like the most tame out of all of them. This one I tried to find where I could watch it. I could not find it. I did find one like really bad, like recorded off of a TV, like bootleg of the first episode, but that was all I could find. Or you could buy the DVD copy for like $30 if you wanted to. So there was that one. Next up, I think this might be perhaps the most cruel out of all of them.
No. Okay.
And it is a show called Boy Meets Boy.
No!
In 2000... Sorry.
Not like the gay one is the mean one?
It's just
I should have said, it's just, what is it? You said Bravo, right? Mm-hmm. Bravo.
Of course it's
you
Bravo.
Bitches.
So this is a 2003. Again, this had 1 season. Boy Meets Boy is an American reality TV series broadcasted by Bravo.
War crimes.
Keep in mind, it's 6 episodes. It's just 6 episodes.
Okay.
Filmed in Palm Springs. The series followed James Getzlaff, a 32-year-old human resource manager, in search of a partner among a group of 15 men.
This is cute so far.
Yeah. No, you're like, okay, interesting.
God. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Getzlaff participated in a series of one-on-one dates and group activities with the men, in which he would eliminate 3 men every episode.
Shit, okay.
However, in the 4th episode... There are 6 episodes. They wait until the 4th episode to tell him that the group consisted of both gay and straight men who were pretending to be gay. So So this is another one with a cash prize. And they turn it into like a game show kind of, or not a game show, but like if his final choice among the group was an actual gay man, he would win $25,000 and a vacation to New Zealand. However, if he chose a straight man, then the straight man would win the $25,000 reward. And they don't tell him until the 4th episode.
So there's so many layers. So not only do you have like a bunch of like first of all, probably the most offensive like straight men being like yes queen, like they're like putting on like fucking gay face to be like, and then it's like congratulations man, you did the hard work, you tricked this man in believing that. But honestly, I know this was 2003. I know it was Bravo. Listen, if you are willing to for weeks on end pretend to fall in love with a man, you're not straight. You can lie to yourself all you fucking want, but if you're willing to be in a group and woo a man, even if it's, oh no, it's fake, it's for the TV. You chose. You went through the audition process. I don't care if it's for money. I don't care if it's whatever. Real straight men don't do this shit because they have nothing to prove. This isn't fun for them. So I don't believe them. And also, like if they just wanted money, they could be like, especially, like, if you're an evil bisexual man, depending on it, like, do you like him? All right, well, then you're in it for love. Do you not like him? You could just lie. You could just lie and be like, actually, I'm straight. 10 grand, you said?
25,000.
25,000. Give it to me, please.
Yeah, 25,000. This was kind of a like historical show because it actually was the first same-sex dating show, and inspired a big wave of like LGBTQ themed reality television series in the early 2000s. And in 2022, Time deemed the first and only season of Boy Meets Boy as one of the most influential reality television seasons of all time. So was it like amazing representation? No.
This is how people talk about Glee. They're like, it was a really big step. The step was shit. Yeah. Was poo-poo. Was caca.
It was 2003, and this was like the first dating show that like acknowledged that gay people exist. So baby steps. I did on the Wikipedia page, there is a grid of all of the contestants. And I don't know why, I think it's really funny that they list the sexual orientation for each of them. And it's just like gay, straight, gay, straight. I think there were 8 gay men and like 7 straight men. So it was like pretty even.
I check on these people now. I get Franklin Ferguson. I'm going to go on your Instagram right now and it's going to be a fucking ton of gay pride flags and you're going to look inward. All right?
So the winner was gay. He did win. He got the $25,000 and the vacation in New Zealand. And then there were 2 runner-ups, and one of the runner-ups was straight. Oh. So like he was very close to like
public humiliation.
Yeah, to choosing a straight man. But then the other runner-up was gay. So he had, like a 66% chance of choosing, a gay man. But yeah, pretty horrible. Despite it only having 1 season, it actually was pretty popular at the time. And they did consider a second season, but the producers ultimately were kind of like, I don't think we can achieve like the same twist that we did the first season, because now everyone knows what the twist is.
It's like the reality show of like Wanna Marry Harry. You do that shit once. You cannot be like, this is the real Prince Harry contestant group of people, I promise.
Yeah, like you can't be doing that again. So there was only one season, but yeah, they interviewed like one of the like straight contestants later, and he was like, yeah, it was like he was an actor or something. He was like, yeah, it was this guy, Dan Wells. He was an actor, and he was like, I really felt like I was like method acting, like it was a really great acting exercise for me. You're like, King, what are we doing?
I don't know. I just don't know how much because there's just something like this is my own personal opinion, but I think that straight people, there's no such thing as having gaydar. You don't have it. Straight people don't have gaydar. If someone's like, I think he's gay. Yeah. He knows. He wants you to know. And there's just like this is kind of benching on the idea that like gay people can't pick up on who's gay and who's not if they're like really looking. So I'm like, again, that's why I'm like, I just don't know if a gay man can clock a man and just be like, he likes men. That's a link.
Yeah.
That man sees something in that man himself does not yet see in himself. There's a wavelength that they're like, ooh. How funny would it be if like the contestant walked out
Google them all now.
his whole thing and just be like, producer, some of these guys are straight. And the
listen,
producer's like, no.
No.
Why would you say that? No, they're just like, whatever. He's like, no, I'm picking up a vibe that like some of these people look really weirded out when I try to kiss them. And they're like, I think you're crazy and stupid also, actually.
It is also interesting. I'm looking at this like chart of gay, straight, and like and like half of the men have their last names listed, and some of them are like there's one guy that's like just Sean. Like they don't have his last name.
They didn't want you to look him up.
Yeah, just Paul,
Jim
or Jim. Yeah, I'm not gonna look him up. Okay. Last but certainly not least is Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire? Do you know anything about like what occurred? The
whoa, not even a little bit. When you say atrocities, what do you mean?
I mean atrocities occurred.
Oh, war crimes. Let's go.
So this was in 2000 or 2000. I was gonna say 2002. It was just in 2000. It was actually a television special, so it wasn't like a series. I think it was like maybe 2 hours or something. Maybe not quite that long.
A lot of condensed content.
Yeah, but it was a TV special in which 50 women
50 in 2 hours?
Yeah, competed in a beauty pageant style contest to marry a wealthy man whom they'd never met.
Oh, God.
With the wedding being performed at the end of the program. So they were just like, okay, and you're married. And you're getting married. Go get married. No. The show was aired. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 2 hours. The show was aired by Fox as a single 2-hour broadcast on February 15th, 2000.
They're like, we're bringing in the new year. Feminism is dead. We had a good run.
Yeah. They just like, I think they had the guy like,
it's like Deal or No Deal where like there's I'll ask him and it's like a do-do-do-do-do and you see the silhouette.
Yeah, it's just the silhouette. They like see him in the silhouette, but like I don't think he like talks or like does anything throughout, but they're just like interviewing the girls. I do think there was like a swimsuit part if I remember correctly. So I mean it was like literally a beauty pageant. They were very much doing that.
No bueno.
So shortly after, so the actual show itself like isn't that interesting, but what followed is. So shortly after the program aired, questions were raised as to whether Rockwell, the so-called multimillionaire, was actually a multimillionaire.
Oh.
Fox stated that Rockwell had $750,000 in liquid assets and a net worth of slightly more than $2 million. However, his ordinary-looking home, which had a discarded toilet in the backyard, did not really speak to this image of a multi-million-dollar man. Several of his other claims were also called into question. For instance, he claimed to have given up his career as a comedian in the 90s in order to become a motivational speaker. However, he'd performed at a comedy club as late as 1998, and several organizations where he claimed to have spoken said that they had never hired him.
Oh, God.
So he was just lying. He was just blatantly lying about many things. Then,
oh no,
this is unfortunate. On February 19th, so this aired on the 15th.
Holy shit!
On the 19th, one of his ex-girlfriends, it was discovered, had filed a restraining order against him for domestic violence in 1991.
Comedian's dog.
Yeah, so he had assaulted her and stalked her when she tried to break off their engagement. This is technically alleged, but the restraining order eventually expired as there were no reports of Rockwell attempting to violate it. So that's why it kind of like didn't come up. And again, they weren't really doing background checks on people like during this time. Like that wasn't the norm. So he just kind of like got away with it. It was later discovered that Rockwell was also not his original last name.
No.
Like he was just lying about everything.
What is this, Catch Me If You Can?
So the woman who like married him obviously quickly expressed regret for taking part in the show. After returning from their honeymoon in Barbados, she told Good Morning America, "I am not married to him. In my heart, I'm not married to him."
But what about the legals?
So She said that the marriage was not consummated and they'd stayed in separate cabins during their honeymoon. After the honeymoon, she sought an annulment and later sold the engagement ring and other prizes she won on the show in an online auction. And the annulment was finalized on April 5th of that year. So she did get it annulled, luckily. But yeah, they just were not doing background checks on people, like, at all. Like, they just did not care. Yeah.
That's
he
awful.
had like fully like stalked his ex, and they were like,
it's a
"You would
fake
make
name.
a good contestant. You would make a fantastic contestant."
Oh my god!
And he was not a. Well, I mean, it appears that he was not an actual multimillionaire. So he just was lying just the entire time. Very, very interesting. Yeah, so those were the horrors of the early 2000s. Obviously, there are many other shows too, like was it Rock of Love or
oh my god, what's that show where like, you know, the girl just went through the guy's like rooms?
Oh, Room Raiders?
Yeah,
Room Raiders is a good one.
Zac Efron was a contestant. Young pre-High School Musical Zac Efron was a contestant on Room Raiders, where basically they're like, 3 contestants, you want to be on a love show? They're like, yeah. They're like, all right, come with us. All right, now you, contestant, go through their rooms.
Mm-hmm. Without meeting them.
No, and then the contestant would be like, oh, these posters on the walls, I like this movie. Most of it, I swear to God, was like just a big ploy to get teens to clean their rooms. Because it's like, if someone walked in, what would they think about you? Yeah. If you, in like, you know, they would watch the Room Raiders happen in like a fucking offshore van somewhere, and they'd be like, the girl would be like, oh my god, what is this, a dead rat? And the guy would be like, that's taxidermied, there's a story behind that, it's an inside joke, but she doesn't know that. Mm-hmm. So you just have this poor girl being like, is this your retainer? And you're like, well, it's very dusty in here, he doesn't dust.
Isn't it like supposed to be staged where like the men don't know when their room is getting raided?
Yeah.
So like it's just like they're just taken from their homes, like
his boxers are on the floor.
Yeah, and it's like you don't get a chance to like clean up your room or anything.
You don't get a chance to tidy. You don't get just a vacuum or make your bed. It's just like how do you live on a Tuesday?
Yeah.
Do you deserve love?
There's also Next, the show Next. I think Curtis Connor made a video on that one too. Are you familiar with that one? It's literally. They have like a van of people or whatever, and then they have one contestant, and it's like The Button basically, where like if you're just not vibing with that person, you can literally just be like, next, and they have to leave, and then the next person comes in.
Just kill me, just kill me. You know, I often, because there are times when I'm like, you know, I see breakdowns at work, be like, we're you know, casting for a reality love show, and I'm like, oh, that'd be fun. No, like. The second that drama happens anywhere near me, I clam up. I'm a turtle. I cannot handle it. If people are fighting, like back and forth fighting, or even if people are like, if I'm in a room and someone is saying things that I disagree with, I leave the room. Yeah. And I like plug my ears and hum. I do not take conflict well. And I'm like, they would eat me alive. Or like if I'm on a Love is Blind situation and like the curtain goes up and the guy goes, I find myself like being a little disappointed. Her voice and her face just don't match up. You're gonna see me blubbering on camera. Yeah. In my confessionals, you're gonna see the gun in my mouth. I'm not built that way. I'm not like, ho hum, if they don't like me, whatever. At the very most, I can maybe see myself being like America's darling for a second. But also, like, what if my humor just does not translate? And then they're like, you know what, we need a villain this season. And they just like cut my audio to make me look like a big dumb idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. We've discussed this before. I genuinely think if I was on a reality show, I don't know, like I want to think that I would be like fun and bubbly and like everyone would love me. I do think that they could edit me into the film. Like I think they very easily could, unfortunately.
They edit me in like as being like an idiot. Like I could so see it. Like I think they did this a lot at like Jersey Shore where like I would say something stupid and then it would cut to me and it would be like and I go like
we've talked about this before. If you take clips of our podcast out of context, we sound.
Why is everyone this generation so sensitive? I think fat people shouldn't vote. I hate women.
Yeah, like it sounds horrible. And you know what? That's the power of editing, people. This is why you can't trust what you see on TV. But those were the horrors of the early 2000s. Obviously there were many more shows.
I'm gonna blame Bush. I'm gonna blame Bush for that.
It was all his fault. And it all comes back to Reagan.
It all. Good segue. That's our next episode.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's brutal out here.
I do think now there are definitely like still really bad, like Fuckboy Island. What is Fuckboy Island?
MILF Manor.
MILF Manor. Why are we doing that? Like, obviously there are still like, oh my god, there are still very horrible atrocities being committed today as well. But yeah, I thought it was fun to just kind of like go back and be like, what is this show about? Let's talk about it. Yeah, anyway. Thank you guys so much for listening. We hope that you enjoyed. We are, as always, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces. And we love you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.